Shabbat Shalom, friends.
Shabbat Shalom.
We're going to join in a wordless melody. Yai die die. Yai da die 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 da die 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 die. Yai da die 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 die. Yai da die 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 da die 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 die. Yai da die 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 die. Yai die. Join together in the words of Shalom Aleichem.
Page 24.
Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharet, Malachei Elyon, Mimelech Malchei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Boechem, Boechem L'Shalom. Shalom, Malachei Elyon, Mimelech Malchei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Barchuni, Barchuni L'Shalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Shalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon, Mimelech Malchei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, HaKadosh Baruch Hu.
Shabbat Shalom. I met a woman this week whose father was the guy who provided the speakers for Woodstock. And it actually changed his life. He was a young 20-something, lived in Middletown, New York, and this big music festival was coming nearby. And all the images of Woodstock, we don't really think about the guy who schlepped the speakers to Woodstock. We think about people covered in mud and free love and very famous singers and just the event of the decade, if not the century. But if you think about it, if the guy hadn't brought good or right speakers to Woodstock, you wouldn't have heard any of the music that was performed at Woodstock. And so it flips your understanding about what's important, because all these famous singers singing there, if you can't hear them, it's no good. So it flips the narrative a little bit. It makes you think about minutia. That is what we're going to try to do this evening with this Torah portion of Vayikra. We are right now at the beginning of the third book of Torah, Leviticus in English, because it's lots and lots and lots of laws, and that's what the root in English. The Hebrew is Vayikra, and God called. And we are starting this third book. And I see one of the people who works a lot with these kids on these portions. It is a lot of laws. There's no Noah's Ark here. There's no beautiful rainbows. There's no loving moment between God. There's just lots and lots and lots of laws. But we're going to try and flip that on its head a little bit this evening and see in the same way that we can appreciate Woodstock, understanding that was a guy who was successful at bringing the speakers and making them work so you could hear at Woodstock. We're going to try and do that with this portion of Leviticus this evening and turn it on its head so you think about it in a way that helps you inform and enjoy your own worship. So we want to wish everyone a Shabbat Shalom on this evening as we begin the book of Leviticus. We want to invite you at this time to share greetings of Shabbat Shalom with your neighbors and those around you. Shabbat Shalom. It is a pleasure at this time to invite forward our bat mitzvah Leora and her parents Isabella and Ori to lead us in candlelighting and kiddush this evening. You will find candlelighting for Shabbat on pages 2 and 3 of Mishkan Tefillah, our prayer book.
As these Shabbat candles give light to all who behold them, so may we, by our lives, give light to all those who behold us. As their brightness reminds us of the generations of Israel who have kindled light, so may we, in our own day, be among those who kindle light.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat.
Amen. We continue on pages 4 and 5 with Kiddush.
The heaven and the earth were finished, and all their array. On the seventh day, God finished the work that God had been doing. And God ceased the seventh day from all the work that God had done. And God blessed the seventh day and declared it holy, because on it God ceased from all the work of creation that God had done.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen.
Amen.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu v'shabbat kodsho be'achava uvratzon hivehilanu zikaron lema'aseh v'reshit ki hu yom tehila lemikrahei kodesh zeher letziat mitzrayim veshanu v'acharta ve'otanu kidashta mikol ha'amim v'shabbat kodshecha be'acha uvratzon hinhatanu Baruch atah Adonai mekadesh haShabbat. Amen.
L'chaim. Please rise as we continue with our opening prayers, the Baruch Hu on page 28. Please rise as we continue together.
Die, 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 die.
Page 30, please be seated. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bidvaro ma'ariv aravim, b'chochma poteach she'arim, u'vitfuna mishane itim, u'machalif et hazemanim, u'misader et ha'kochavim, b'mishmoratehem barakia kirtzono, borei yom v'layla, golel or mipnei choshech, v'choshech mipnei or.
ומעביר יום ומביא לילה, ומבדיל בין יום ובין לילה, אדוני צבאות שמו, אל חי וקיים. תמיד ימלוך עלינו לעולם ועד, ברוך אתה אדוני, המעריב ערבים. אהבת עולם, בית ישראל, עמך אהבת, עמך אהבת. תורה ומצוות, חוקים ומשפטים, אותנו לימדת, אותנו לימדת. על כן אדוני אלוהינו בשוכבנו, וקומנו נשיח בחוקיך, ונשמח בדברי תורתך, ובמצוותיך לעולם ועד. כי הם חיינו ואורך ימינו, ובהם נגה יומם ולילה, נגה יומם ולילה. ואהבתך אל תסיר ממנו לעולמים, ברוך אתה אדוני,
Please rise.
אוהב עמו ישראל, אוהב עמו ישראל. שמע ישראל, אדוני אלוהינו, אדוני אחד. ברוך שם כבוד מלכותו לעולם ועד.
Please be seated as we continue with the Via Hafta, page 36.
ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך, והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם לאות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי, והייתם קדושים לעולכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם.
One of the reasons we have to re-engage with our understanding of Leviticus, the book that we start tonight, is that it is full of sacrifices, not the sacrifice you make to move somewhere for someone or give someone an organ or something like that. These are real animal sacrifices, and there are far too many cute dogs in Boca for anyone to ever imagine that anyone would slaughter an animal as a way to serve as tribute to God. But at the beginning of Leviticus, this portion we read tonight, you'll see in a little bit there's blood flailing all over the place, and cows and lambs and birds being sacrificed. So part of the reason we have to flip this portion on its head is because we have to figure out, how do we relate to this? Because we're certainly not going to schlep knives and cows to synagogue, although it would make it much easier to understand the physicality of worship. Now we just get to sit here quietly. So it's a matter of finding that engagement with God, but not doing all that killing. How do we know that God decided that animals were the way that we were going to communicate with God 3,000 years ago? Well, one of the things that differentiated the Jewish people from the people that came before them was that they didn't sacrifice humans. There were cultures thousands of years ago that actually sacrificed humans to appease God. And right outside the old city of Jerusalem, there's an area called Gai Ben Hinnom, the Valley of Hell. And why is it called that? Because when it was dug up, it was found that there were bones of babies, of children, which implies that there was some sort of sacrifice that went on at that time. Why is it called the Valley of Hell? Because life is not beautiful if someone's life has to be sacrificed. But at some point it became that even the animals' sacrifice was not going to be the way that we worship God. This moment, the Micha Mocha that we are about to sing about, reminds us that every single life is valuable. Because when that Red Sea parted for the Jewish people and then closed in on the Egyptians and drowned many of the Egyptian soldiers, God did not fully rejoice because the Egyptians had lost their lives that day. And so we have to figure out how to switch and turn this poor Torah portion over to take out the blood and put in the connection to God. We continue with Micha Mocha on page 40.
ונאמר כי ודע אדוני את יעקב גאלו מיד חזק ממנו ברוך אתה אדוני גאל ישראל. השכיבנו אדוני אלוהינו לשלום והעמידנו שומרנו לחיים. השכיבנו אדוני אלוהינו לשלום והעמידנו והעמידנו שומרנו לחיים. ושמור צאתנו ובואנו לחיים ולשלום מעתה ועד עולם. השכיבנו אדוני אלוהינו לשלום והעמידנו שומרנו לחיים. השכיבנו אדוני אלוהינו לשלום והעמידנו שומרנו לחיים. והעמידנו שומרנו לחיים. והעמידנו שומרנו לחיים.
Page 45, we read together. We are a people in whom the past endures, in whom the present is inconceivable, without moments gone by. The Exodus lasted a moment enduring forever. What happened once upon a time happens all the time. We continue with the spirit of Shabbat with Vishamru on page 44.
ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורתם ברית עולם. ביני ובין בני ישראל אותי לעולם, אותי לעולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורתם ברית עולם. כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורתם ברית עולם. וביום השביעי שבת וינפש, שבת וינפש. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורתם ברית עולם.
Please rise as we continue with the tefillah.
Adonai siftai tiftachu fi yagi tehilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu v'Elohei Avotenu v'Imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, v'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, v'Elohei Leah, Ha'el הגדול, הגיבור והנורא, אל עליון, גומל חסדים טובים, וקונה הכל, וזוכר חסדי אבות ואימהות, ומביא גאולה לבני בניהם, למען שמו באהבה, מלך עוזר, מושיע ומגן. ברוך אתה אדוני, מגן אברהם ועזרת שרה. אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, מחיה הכל, אתה רב להושיע, משיב הרוח ומוריד הגשם, מכלכל חיים בחסד, מחיה הכל ברחמים רבים, סומך נופלים ורופא חולים, ומתיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו לשני עפר. מי כמוך בעל גבורות, ומי דומה לך, מלך ממית ומחיה, ומצמיח ישוע, ונאמן אתה להחיות הכל. ברוך אתה אדוני, מחיה הכל. אתה קדוש ושמך קדוש, וקדושים בכל יום יעללוך סלע. ברוך אתה אדוני, האל הקדוש.
We continue in silent prayer. Please be seated.
תמיד עבודת ישראל, ישראל עמך, אל קרוב לכל קורב פני אל עבדיך וחננו, שפוך רוחך עלינו, ותחזינה עינינו, ושובך לציון. ברחמים, ברוך אתה אדוני,
At this time, we continue with Seder Kriyat Torah, our Torah service. Please rise.
Zion, תצא תורה, ודבר אדוני מירושלים. כי מציון תצא תורה, ודבר אדוני מירושלים. ברוך שנתן תורה לעמו, תורה לעמו ישראל. ברוך שנתן תורה לעמו ישראל בקדושתו. שמע ישראל אדוני אלוהינו אדוני אחד אחד אלוהינו גדול אדוננו קדוש שמו לך אדוני התפארת והנצח וההוד כי כל בשמיים ובארץ כי כל בשמיים ובארץ לך אדוני והמלאכה והמתנשא לכל ראש. מלך אמנה ליבי ושנא ואל נא תתעלם. מלך אמנה ליבי ושנא ואל נא תתעלם. מלך אמנה ליבי ושנא ואל נא תתעלם. הילך 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 אמנה ליבי ושנא ואל נא תתעלם.
On Monday, someone gave me a bag of M&Ms. It was a bigger size bag. And there's only one reason I haven't opened it or eaten it yet, because normally when I get a bag of candy, I eat it all immediately. There are these M&Ms that came out in January. I don't know if you've seen them or not. Flipping the script M&Ms, you've seen them, right? So there's a new M&M. She's purple. She has combat boots. They lowered the heels. I think the green M&M wears high heels, and they lowered the heels a little bit. And I guess there was a lot of buzz about the M&Ms, and so M&M's launched a flip the script M&M, and the package, if you look at it, the purple M&M's in it, the new female M&M, and the M&M's are actually upside down. I haven't opened it yet, which is a miracle, but I ordered 24 additional packages because I love this. So if you want any, let me know, and I will give them to you. They haven't arrived yet, but if you want. And it's making a point about flipping the script. And And it's taking like issues that are going on in the world, and there are a lot of issues going on in the world, including gender equity, and taking the platform of M&Ms, which in some ways is like an innocent platform, and saying even we have a stand about this. And we're going to flip over the graphics on our M&M package so that you think about flipping the script on the role of women in the world. And I love that, and I ordered 24, as I said, more. Spent $100 on M&Ms, which is ridiculous, but I like that. And for me, it was like something to understand differently and kind of flip the script. And that's what we need to do with this portion of Leviticus. We need to flip the script. Now you'd be like, what's this flipping the script? Well, I'll tell you what, a little more relevant and closer to our hearts maybe than M&Ms or gender equity. So about a year ago, FAU announced that it's got a big grant for a Holocaust center, and they're redoing the Jewish Studies building. And Holocaust is really, really important to me and my rabbinate. And so I've been at regular meetings at FAU. I actually was on the committee that helped pick the new Jewish Studies professor, who's excellent. She starts in the fall. Her name's Rachel Harris. So I've been at FAU a lot. So I flipped my script about FAU a few months ago as I spent more and more time there. I have no doubt you've all flipped your script about FAU now that they are in the grade 8 or whatever, what's the 8 called now? You can't tell me that you've flipped your, when you moved here, whenever you moved here, whether it's 5 years or 25 or 55 years ago, you're like, okay, there's this school here and it's grown and grown. It's a fabulous school. Some of us have kids there and I've taken classes there. It's fabulous. The world right now is watching FAU. So you can see the script can flip, and sometimes it can come from us, and sometimes it can be because of a view that's changed. And we've certainly all changed that view. But that's what has to happen with this Torah portion, because there's just no way that this concept of flinging blood for sacrifice that opens this beginning of Leviticus is going to speak to us. And also, even the idea of sacrifice doesn't speak to us, because when I say sacrifice in modern English, we think of, what sacrifice, did we move to Florida because someone we loved lived in Florida or wanted to live in Florida, or did we leave Florida for that reason, or, did we give more time to one person and not another and make a sacrifice? It's in English, it's a negative connotation, but in Hebrew, it's a beautiful, positive connotation where it's about drawing closer to God. And you have to think about this element of sacrifice together. When Jews sacrificed in ancient Israel, it's not like one came at a time and one came at a time. They came as community. They came together. So there was something about coming together to bring your goat or your cow or your bird or whatever you did for the holiday or for the sin that you did. And you knew you weren't alone. And there was a human element to coming together. And that's probably the most enduring element of what we see here in this Torah portion, that these aren't just random stories that are meant to mean nothing. They're like a way to live life. And if you can't live life in community with other people, it's not worth living. But when you live in community with other people, you have to have laws, you have to have rules. You have to have some rules that protect all of society, like the yellow lines on the road, and then you have to have some rules that protect Judaism, like that you're going to observe holidays or eat matzah at Passover to remind you of your Jewish tradition. And it's okay to have all of it. And Leviticus, this book, has a whole different flavor than the rest of the books of Torah. Genesis is like a soap opera, and Deuteronomy is a retelling of things and really a tribute to Moses. But Leviticus is just laws, 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 laws. But it's okay, because for the society to thrive, you need the soap opera and you need the worship of the heroes like Moses, but you also need the laws. And it reminds you that it's vast what we need to understand and what we need to embrace about our Jewish tradition. And so fine, we're not going to like the blood flailing all around at the beginning of the portion. It's gross. It's not so pretty. But what it reminds us is I know you've changed about FAU. You can't tell me you haven't. And so we have the ability to change. So maybe tonight we can change a little bit about Leviticus and understand that the role of these sacrifices, while the blood and the cows may not as mean much to us, the idea of coming together under the umbrella of Jewish laws to pray to God and draw closer to God and closer to each other is something that is tremendous and remarkable and enduring. And it doesn't matter if it's 3,000 years ago when the laws were given or tonight when we read them again. This idea that we always have the ability to flip the script on Torah, to re-engage in a different way, and hopefully on this night engage with the idea of sacrifice, not as something ancient, but as something so modern, so loving, so beautiful that it moves our heart, and most importantly, it moves our connection to God. Shabbat Shalom. Not to dwell on this sacrifice, we have a very special couple who's coming to the Aliyah this evening. So I want to invite up Rabbi Mark and Karen Panoff. So there are many wonderful things about being a rabbi in South Florida, but one of the most, I might need your help with this too, because I'm really bad at that, the lining up of the Torah. Are you
I
bad?
think I need to talk to
Okay.
You've got to work.
Okay, all right, we're going to figure this out. So one of the most wonderful things about being a rabbi in South Florida, because I don't think any rabbi retires to Idaho, or maybe they do, or Iowa or whatever, is that we get a lot of retired rabbis who come and live like in South Florida, and they join the synagogue, and we love having them, but they really become friends, and like dear friends. And Karen and Rabbi Panoff have been with us just a few months now, right? Yeah, just a few months, and already, like, partly because of the community, we've tried to pull him in to teach classes and do funerals and things like that, but he's enjoying time with Karen. But it is tonight, we are marking the 50th anniversary of his ordination, of becoming a rabbi. That's a long time and a beautiful and illustrious career. He was the rabbi of a dear friend of mine in Columbia, Maryland, and is such a remarkable and admired person. And when you are a clergy person, there's a lot of sacrifice that goes on that your family experiences for sure, and and just working so hard, but it is also so rewarding. So we call you both to the Aliyah to Torah on the anniversary of your 50th anniversary of ordination. You're welcome. Baruch Adonai Hamborach Leolam Va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Hamborach Leolam Va'ed. Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu Melech Haolam Asher Bahar Banu Mikol Ha'amim V'natan Lanu Et Torato. Baruch Atah Adonai Noten HaTorah.
Amen.
Vayikra el Moshe v'yidaber Adonai elav me'ohel moed. The more daber el bnei Yisrael marta alehem Adam ki yakriv michem korban la Adonai min habehima min habakar. So God called, and just notice this, I mean, this is like the epitome of sacrifice. The aleph in Vayikra and God called is smaller, as if you almost have to be so humble in order to come into God's presence. You have to draw yourself in and put your ego aside and really just be humble if you're coming to God to sacrifice. So God called to Moses saying, speak from the tent of meeting, saying, speak to the children of Israel and say to them, anyone who wants to bring me a sacrifice to God from the beasts or from the cattle or from the sheep, the lambs, tikrivu et korbanchem im ola korbano min habakar zecher tamim. If they want to sacrifice to me, they need to bring a certain sacrifice that is a male, that is pure, that is unblemished, and offer that to me. El petach ohel moed, at the opening of the tent of meeting. Yakriv oto lirtzono lifnei Adonai, according to God's will. Usamach yodo al rosh ha'olah v'nirtza lo lekaper elav. And in this act of placing their hands on the animal, they are atoning for their sins. V'shachat et ben habakar lifnei Adonai, and the animal shall be sacrificed before God. V'akrivu b'nei Aharon, and then Aaron's sons, who were the priests, who kind of did the administering of all these duties. HaKohanim, et hadam v'zarku, and I wasn't kidding, and they throw the blood, they literally splatter the blood. Zarku et hadam al hamizbeach saviv asher petach ohel moed, all around the opening of the tent of meeting. V'hipshit et ha'olah v'toach ata naticha. It's like, and then this scent, this reach, this scent comes forward from the sacrifice that is there, that is pleasing to God. V'natnu b'nei Aharon hakohen eish al hamizbeach, and the sons of Aaron shall be the one who will administer the fire that burns these sacrifices. V'archu eitzim al ha'esh, and they will feed the fire. They'll bring wood to the fire. V'archu b'nei Aharon v'hakonim, and these priests, the sons of Aaron's, they will administer all of the burning of this inside of these sacrifices. Harosh al habadar al ha'etzim asher al ha'esh. They will tend to the wood that is on the fire. Asher al hamazbeach, that is on the altar. V'kirbu v'karu v'yirchatz b'mayim, and the outer part of the animal shall just be burned up, but the inner part, they need to clean in a special way, like the entrails, the inside of the animal. Hakoin et hakol v'mizbeach Allah asher reach nichoach la'Adonai, and this pleasing odor shall go forward to God in order to come from the sacrifice.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natan lanu Torat emet, v'chayei olam natan b'toheinu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. It is probably a blessing you've given thousands and thousands of times in your life, but in honor of the 50th anniversary of your ordination, we would like to give to you the words of the priestly blessing, the blessings that ask for God's presence in your life always, the blessing you have given to remind so many people of God's presence. We give that to you.
Yivarechecha Adonai v'yishmerecha.
May God bless you and keep you.
Yair Adonai panav elecha v'chunecha.
May God's light shine upon you and be gracious to you.
Yisa Adonai panav elecha v'yasem lecha shalom.
May all your paths be paths of shalom, be paths of peace. And let us say amen, and mazel tov. Mazel tov. Congratulations. You're so welcome, Mazel.
וזאת התורה אשר שם משה לפני בני ישראל על פי אדוני ביד משה. יאי די 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 ידה די 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 יאי די 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 yai dai 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 yai dai 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 yada dai 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 וזאת התורה ששם משה לפני בני ישראל על פי אדוני ביד משה. ידה די די די
As we stand before the open ark, our thoughts turn to all those in need of God's healing presence. Mishaberach avotenu v'imotenu. May the one who blessed our ancestors bless all those in need of healing. In our prayers this evening, Meredith Abramson, Hannah Akawi, Jim Alexander, Fred Belkin, Nikki Benamo, Sandy Berman, Margie Berman Block, Abraham Blum, Kathleen Bauer-Sachs, Phyllis Brucker, Ed Burns, Chana Simcha Bat Moshe Yechieli, Vaharav Kayla Bracha, Andrea Colton, Chloe Comas, Michael Costin, Shelley Darman, Michael Davis, Rhonda Finlay, Daniel Franks, Jim Freed, Marty Fromowitz, Harry Gaines, Larry Guys, Larry Goldstein, Ross Goldstein, Myra Halley, George Henkin, Bonnie Hirsch, Janine Hirschhorn, Baby Boy Hoffman, Marsha Hoffman, Keith Hammer, Susan Ivers, Ken Canoff, Marilyn Cass, Judd Carnelo, Eileen Kessler, Marie Koppelman, Ethan Kotler, Charlie Krieger, Brian Latinsky, Misha Allen Ben Eri Vachaya Esther, Mordechai Ben Serafega, Linda Nagler, Trishad Nixon Jr., Cal Oppenheim, Terry Pearl, Claudia Plasky, Brittany Ramos, Jackie Robinson, Eileen Rosenbaum, Alan Rosenfeld, Abby Shine, Steve Schneidman, Kenneth Shore, Stacy Silva, Dale Simon, Dominique Sinbaldi, Barry Sinrod, Nancy Sinrod, Michael Sprinzen, Samuel Vainberg, Sharon Thalvander, Joan Weidenfeld, Tom Weinenfeld, Arthur Wissott, and those names that you add as my hand meet your gaze. Baruch atah Adonai Rofei HaCholim.
Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say,
We remain standing and continue on page 282 with Aleinu L'Shabeach, page 282.
עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונם, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא. ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד ושמו
It is a pleasure this time to call forward our temple president, Wendy Whalen, with greetings on behalf of the Board of Trustees.
Shabbat Shalom. I would first like to say Mazel Tov to Leora and her parents, Isabella and Ori. It is so wonderful to have your family gathered here again for another bat mitzvah, and of course to welcome your grandmother from Israel. We thank you for leading us in blessings over candles and Kiddush. and of course for leading us in Torah blessings tonight. Once again, on behalf of the entire congregation, Mazel Tov to Rabbi Mark Panoff, and we thank you and your wife Karen for joining us, joining our synagogue and Torah blessings. I'd also like to acknowledge Susan and Barry Podolsky, who are joining us on the Bima tonight. Susan and Barry are not only dear friends, but my mentors. And Susan now serves as Vice President of Membership and Engagement. And Barry, of course, was a past president of Temple Bethel. They have served in so many leadership roles and given hours and hours of volunteer time to our synagogue. I'd like to also tell you about some upcoming events. We are very excited to have producer Suzanne Lasky-Gerard joining us for a documentary screening and presentation of the Emmy Award-winning film, The March of the Living, Then and Now. This will be on Wednesday, March 29th at 7 p.m. here at the Schaefer Family Campus, and we do ask that you register at tbeboca.org for this event. And then Rabbi Dan and Cantor Laurie will retell the Passover story at Temple Beth El's second night Seder, which is Thursday, April 6th at 5:30 p.m. It's always a fun night with a delicious meal and all your holiday favorites. Full information and registration can also be found on our website. And then for Sisterhood, Temple Bethel Sisterhood presents the Women's Passover Experience. This will be on Tuesday, April 11th at 6:30 p.m., featuring Pulitzer Prize-winning journalist Jennifer Senior. Please register on our website for this also. And then let me tell you about the rally in Tally. Along with the Religious Action Center of Reform Judaism, and the National Council of Jewish Women, and an interfaith coalition of advocates for choice, Temple Bethel is heading to the Florida State Capitol in Tallahassee to make our voices heard on the proposed 6-week abortion ban on April 16th and 17th. You will be joining my husband and myself, along with Rabbi Dan, Rabbi Alana, Rabbi Greg, Eleanor Josephson, Susan Stallone, and many of our congregants. For more information and to register for this, please visit our website. And then you can celebrate Israel's independence at our Rockin' Blue and White Shabbat musical service. That's going to be on Friday, April 28th at 6 p.m. And of course, we encourage you to wear blue and white that evening. And you can also register for dinner following services on our website. As always, we hope you'll stay after services and join us for our oneg. And as you make your way out of the synagogue tonight, please stop by our tzedakah box and consider making a donation to our tzedakah fund. Tonight's proceeds will be going to the Jacobson Food Pantry to help needy families for their Passover meals. You can make a donation to the Tzedakah Fund via our website, or, as I keep telling you lately, we have a QR code at the Tzedakah box to make donating even easier. On behalf of my husband and myself, I wish you all a Shabbat Shalom.
At this time in our service, our thoughts turn to all those who are no longer with us, those who died at this season in years past, and those whom we have taken into our hearts as our own. As is the custom at Temple Bethel, if you are observing the yard site, the anniversary of a death, or are in the period of Shloshim, have had a death in recent days, please rise when the name of your loved one is read. On the yard sites, the anniversaries of their deaths, we remember Bertha F. Aronson, Dr. Seymour Backman, Samuel Berenson, Dennis Berg, Gussie Block, Herman Blum, Jack Bosch's, Richard Bransdorf, Blanche Bell Bretz, Arlene Broido, Stephen Robert Buchwald, Shelley Chase, Simon Chait, Estelle Chaffetz, Harry Lewis Cohen, Myra Cohen, Walter Cohn, Beatrice Dorfman, Jerome Duitz, Bernice Ellis, Harold Feinberg, Rose Fishman, Dr. Saul M. Fliegler, Gilbert Fleischer, Alter Friedman, Stephanie Glazer, Louis H. Goldberg, Edith Gordon, Claire Gruber, Kenneth I. Hershey, Emmanuel Honig, Harry Hotz, Douglas Johnstone, Doris Joseph, Arnold Kagan, Florence Kaplan, Seymour Kimmel, David Kipple, Nathaniel Klasfeld, David Clavins, Valerie Klein, Anna Krieger, Morris Kronzek, Estelle Brodsky Labiner, Elise Lamhut, Pedro Loriano, Dorothy Lavin, Evelyn Lebowitz, Ruby Leroy, Bernard Bud Levin, Peggy A. Madden, Ann Marin, Ann Mealbaum, Beatrice S. Meltzer, Joseph Meyerowitz, Sylvia Miller, Brett Miller, Eileen Morse, Dr. Fred Nurin, Mickey Nussbaum, Mary Lou Oken, Len Pedvis, Morton Polikoff, John Protzman, Arnold Putterman, Sidney Reichel, Ephraim Resnick, Nina Reingold, Mac Rosef, Frank Philip Rothstein, Noreen Rubin, Francis Rubin, Eve Sack, Gladys Salkoff, Thelma Schaefer, Martha R. Shine, Martin Schneider, Owen Schwam, Stephen Sirio, Marie Sherman, Sophie Simon, Nancy Smoreski, Mortimer Solomon, Minikis Spielman, Grady Spielman, Paul Stein, Bert Vigder, Seymour Waldman, Charles Paul Weinberg, Myron Winston, Nathan Witt, Joyce Kravitz-Wolf, Bertha Wolkoff, Harvey Zipkin, and in the period of Shloshim, those who've been laid to rest in recent days, Seymour Robbins, Elaine Smith, Michael Kirsch, Marcia Myers, Robert Knappen, Susan Myers, Beth Ann Goldman, Corinne Greenberg, Greg Keats, Alice Turner, Josh Pumphrey, and those names that you add as my hand meets your gaze. Those at home, we invite you to add your names as well as we rise together as a community and join on page 294 with the words of the Mourner's Kaddish. We join together on page 294. Yitgadal v'yitgadash shemei Rabbah, be'alma divrach hirutei v'yamlich malchutei, b'chayei chon uvyomei chon uv'chayei dechol beit Yisrael, ba'agala uv'yizman kariv v'yimru amen. Yehei shemei Rabbah mivrach leolam almei almaya, yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh, v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shemei kudasha b'richu la'ela min kol birchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechemata da'amiran be'alma v'yimru amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'yimru amen. Osei shalom b'mromav hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'yimru amen. May the source of peace send peace to all who mourn and comfort the bereaved among us, and let us say, amen.
We'd like to give a special thanks to our wonderful musicians. We have May on the violin, Vindia on the keys, and Jeff on the drums. In the back, we have Ron and Ray, and in the way back, someone magical. I'm not even sure who went back there, but if it's Jason.
Or Hunter.
Jason, thank you. We got our backup over there. Kira, let me know who's in the back.
The speakers matter.
The speakers matter. The speakers matter. The guy in Woodstock, I was thinking about the speaker guy before I knew what Woodstock was.
Really?
Yeah, he's a good guy. Good sound at Woodstock. So we're going to end with Hevenu Shalom Alechem, and I invite you, if the rhythm moves you at any point throughout the song, to put your hands together. Hevenu Shalom Alechem, Hevenu Shalom Alechem, Hevenu Shalom Alechem, Hevenu Shalom, Shalom, Shalom Alechem, Hevenu Shalom Alechem, Hevenu Shalom Alechem, Hevenu Shalom Alechem, Hevenu Shalom, Shalom, Shalom Alechem.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Amen. Bochem shalom, sitchem shalom, as you've come in peace, so may you go in peace. Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
Take it. You can take the whole thing.